We are at the last batch of episodes for Monarch Legacy of Monsters. First up is episode 7. Will the real May please stand up? What an awful title. Monarch guy is not dead. He meets up with the Randa kids while May gets kidnapped. This episode has flashbacks to May's life. There's also Shaw and the former Monarch girl taking over Monarch outposts, and it seems they have quite the operation going on already. Shaw pretty much 180'd his personality, but not enough to check thoroughly last episode for the bodies from the helicopter. That guy, also kind of different, telling our Randa kids to play it cool even though we've seen him constantly not do that. And these flashback scenes, they try to explain things that we see in the present, but I doubt it's going to be very smooth upon rewatches. The May flashbacks and current stuff brings another faction into the mix of parties fighting for things. It's getting too convoluted when it was good. Maybe even great when we were just following Randa Kids, Monarch, and Monarch in the past. Now we have at least 2 more. This episode was a bit lacking for me. I mean, it does some good things in regards to Monarch lore, but it could have been done better. I kind of want to see who wrote and directed this to see if it's like most shows with rotating personnel where some are much more enjoyable to me than others. That, yes, at the end, silly. Can't believe they made Kurt Russell do that. Episode 8, Birthright. Shaw is going around closing up the tunnels to Hollow Earth. Our main groups go to talk to him. He gives Kate this spiel about Godzilla keeping things in and out, and I don't know. I don't like it when Godzilla is doing things like that. Like, yeah, I want him to not just be mindless, but something on a global scale like this. The flashbacks see Monarch about to get shut down and then making the maps. Some of the flashbacks and current time stuff take place in the same building, and the back and forth between them in the same setting was kind of cool. Some nice shots in this too. There's a big bug monster at the end. He doesn't do much, which seems to be the norm for the show, but looks fairly cool. Kate and Shaw fall into the now closed tunnel at the end. Oh, and Shaw says he was in Hollow Earth before. At least, I think that's what he says, which is pretty confusing since the people in Godzilla vs. Kong sure had a tough time traversing to and from. Maybe he was just stuck on crust gravity. I guess we'll find out. This episode was okay. I looked it up. These last 2 episodes are the only ones directed by Hiromi Kamada, and they're both written by people who haven't done any of the other episodes either. So, I was right about why they felt different. Episode 9, Axis Mundy. We start off in the past. Shaw and 3 randos go down into Hollow Earth, and in a bathysphere-looking container. Love it. They hit us with emotions about a loss of a character, even though we already know they survived, so props to the personnel behind this episode on that. Oh, May fell into Hollow Earth too. Kate is missing, and May has to listen to Shaw, who is helping her survive. So, guy who just caused all this is again part of the protagonist team. I mean, maybe he's always been good or gray. Maybe Monarch is bad or gray. Sure, in reality, most aren't fully bad or good, but it helps with fictional narrative. Speaking of great characters, military guy is very good here. Actor has always been on point, but writing really brings it home in this episode. Almost makes you forget that he tossed Shaw out of Monarch Command due to him leaving to see his friends that one time. Oh, and I guess Kate, Shaw, and May fell to Hollow Earth fine since a Titan was there. We've got vertigo dolly zooms. Looked great too. But we also get flashbackception. We've done this flip-flop between past and present fine, but in this episode we get flashbacks in both time periods. So 4 timelines. Why'd they do that? For the hospital bed parallel? Not worth it. Should have doubled down on one episode in the present with some flashbacks and then had the next episode be past with flashbacks. At one point, it's a flashback in a story told in the present, I believe. Oof. I don't know, I guess it's not too bad, but it's still a bit bad. Glad they finally give us interesting answers that make sense to question seeds planted sometimes many episodes ago. Kentaro gets to confront his dad. This warthog monster is in Hollow Earth. The show has a lot of small titans. Are they still titans if under a certain size? Anyways, the only one I'd consider kaiju size would really be post-bomb Godzilla and flashbacks to the Mutos from 2014. Wonder if we'll see another giant-sized one. Oh, and in a twist I didn't see coming, Keiko is still alive in Hollow Earth. Sorry about the spoilers. I'm not this heavy with spoilers in my movie reviews unless it's a movie I don't expect anyone to watch, but I don't know. Hard to talk about the show when most of the scenes are story or character focused. Plus, there's still a good chunk of people watching that won't watch the show anyways. Even with the flashback exception, I like this episode a lot. The best one in a long time and plants multiple questions to hopefully have be answered later on. Really pulled me back in after two sort of lackluster ones. I am once again looking forward to the new episodes, but I just realized there's only one episode left. Hopefully they do answer the questions they craftily set up and finish the story. I don't think they can cover it all, but I'm going to be very upset if they don't at least finish the main story. Episode 10, Beyond Logic. Kate, Shaw, May, and Keiko all grouped together in Hollow Earth, and we get a fairly lengthy recap to Keiko, which, production and acting wise, is pretty well done. Rating could have been better, but mostly, it's an info drop that the audience and all the characters aside from Keiko already know. I get we need to see some reactions and emotions, but could have been cut short. Kentaro and his dad's confrontation and Kentaro's parents' confrontation, good. Short. Monarch internal confrontation, the same thing we've been seeing the majority of the show, so kinda tiresome by now. But also a good length in this finale. As more time passes with the Hollow Earth crew, Shaw and Keiko are good, but May and especially Kate don't really have good fluid conversations with the entire group. It's just kind of awkward when they talk, nothing to really add, but seems, hey, lead, so let them get a line in. Glad they brought back one monster from a flashback near the start of the series, and it's big. So I guess I just forgot about this monster when I was writing about the last episode. I was kind of bothered that they never gave us more of him, and here he is. I guess the name is Ion Dragon, and it fights Godzilla. Not a lengthy fight by any means, but I think long enough. It was pretty cool, and glad they managed to throw a giant monster fight into the MonsterVerse show. Additionally, there's a quick Kong cameo, so both MonsterVerse lead kaiju are here. He doesn't actually do anything though. There's still some narrative questions unanswered, but the finale tries to tie up most of the interpersonal ones without being too redundant, and of course there's only so much runtime, so they can't run through it all. What I'm less big on is the new questions it brings. It quickly tries to answer some, but I don't think they work as well. Overall, I think the show is both good and a good supplementary material that doesn't, clearly negate or make things in the pre-established main lore more confusing. It does a bit at the end for me, but I'm not an expert on MonsterVerse lore. I do know enough that some of the supplementary official comics and novelizations do not line up as well with all the movies, and that's what really matters, the movies, what the majority of people are actually consuming. The biggest problem is now I wish these characters were in the movies. But as a Godzilla fan, I'm used to characters not reappearing, or in the case of GVK, reappearing but not needing to, and more annoyingly, not doing anything of merit. I've heard a lot of complaints about Legacy of Monsters, and I have some myself, especially in the lull of the 4th, 5th, but overall, I highly enjoyed it and would recommend. Thanks for watching.